Yeah, right, dude. Shut the fuck up. It's because she's a conservative. That's it. You literally would not even waste a moment chirping at some Democrat that you even suspect of saying something that you can manipulate into claiming it's racist. That's it. You're a dog for the racists. And they treat you like what? Well, they treat you worse than a dog because white women love dogs. So a dog would be not the best analogy here. And
Show
then we'll play Batman Telltale.
Together. And she asked this question. I just want to get your reaction on. Rob, go ahead and play this clip.
That's why I brought on today somebody who I think has some thoughtful perspectives on the future direction of our country, of our conservative movement, and on this question of nationalism and national identity, somebody who've been fascinated by for a long time.
Can you fast forward to when she says it,
interacted
Rob?
with on social media, but for the first time we're having a
Is it right here?
live form conversation in the offline sense of it. It's Ann Coulter. So Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I too am a fan of yours, so I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
Just skip over the racism.
Well, first of all, did you know she was? Because it seems like when you guys are starting, there's a little bit of tension. I don't know if there was like pre-getting started where there was tension or not.
Oh, you're pretty good at picking that up, man. So actually, so to give you the context here. So I ran this podcast during the presidential campaign. It was called Truth.
Yeah.
I took some time off after the campaign, and now, getting back in the swing of things. So we relaunched the Truth podcast, just relaunched it officially last week. So, get that up on the ground. We'd have good conversations. Right. And I wanted to pick on some people who had.
Okay, Patrick Bet David acknowledges the existence of racism because he's awesome. Okay, because he calls balls and strikes. That's why. That's it. And you guys don't recognize it, and you don't appreciate it for all the valuetainment that he puts forward.
Ed poked me a little bit on social media or in other ways to be able to, it's kind of boring to just talk about everybody who agrees with the same thing.
Right.
But let's get a little bit of tension from the left, from the right. So I'll bring Ann Coulter on because during the campaign, I don't remember what exactly she said, but on numerous instances would comment on different ways in which I might not be quite qualified to be president, right? So let's get her on and have a conversation.
Yeah, he also has probably been called Indian before and has experienced anti-brown racism as someone who was perceived as an Indian man or something. So I suspect that plays a role in this as well. It's like a deep and personal issue for him.
And both of us are interested in the theme of nationalism. I did not expect she would just kick it off right there, get right into the business. And I think it actually made for a really good conversation, believe it or not. Of course, I disagree with hell like her on that being a criteria to be the U.S. president is her description of whether or not you're an Indian. I'm born in the United States. I'm as American as they come. But I thought it actually formed a really strong basis for an honest conversation that we otherwise don't have. Because her view is that in order to actually be a U.S. president, you got to be even more American, right? So you're not fully American if your parents weren't from the United States of America. And in order to trust somebody, the more generations they've been here, let's say you've been here 6 or 7 generations, you have more of what she would call, I think she did call it during the podcast, a security policy. It's like an insurance policy that that if you're going to put somebody in that high office, at least that they've really, really soaked up what it means to be American. Now, I disagree with that. I disagree with that because you have people in the 7th generation Americans who are the kids of I've known many of these people, grow up in the Upper East Side. Some daughter who lives in Brooklyn thinks she's a hippie, talks about hating this country. Well, I don't think that person's any more American than I am just because my parents happen to have been legal immigrants to this country.
So I got 2 questions for you.
But it made for a good conversation.
I got 2 questions for you with this, okay? On one end, how many people you think are if you were to say of the voters block, what percentage of the voter block agrees with her?
So say in the Republican primary?
In the Republican primary to say, you know what, question. I'm not going to, even if it's 1%, 2%, 3%, what do you think it is?
So I will tell you this with confidence.
Sorry, my brother is literally on the gate cam, not letting me access the gate cam while there's a package at the door, and I'm trying to open the door, but because he's hogging the gate, anyway, it's just random, irrelevant. That's why I'm yelling. A visibly brown person, and you're running for the Republican Party, there are going to be openly antagonistic people against you, and you just have to kind of eat there. You just kind of have to sit there and eat it. There's not really much you can do about it.
It is a lot higher than I believed it was a year ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's a lot higher than I believe you would think it is, too.
Interesting.
Which is why, and I said this on social media, and some people hit me on the left from it, I said I respect her for saying it, even though I disagree. Right? Because at least she has the spine to say in public what many other people, not a majority, not even close to a majority, but a lot of people. She's not a...
Yeah, right, dude. Shut the up. It's because she's a conservative. That's it. You literally would not even waste a moment chirping at some Democrat that you even suspect of saying something that you can manipulate into claiming it's racist. That's it. You're a dog for the racists. And they treat you like what? Well, they treat you worse than a dog because white women love dogs. So a dog would be not the best analogy here.
Alone. She is voicing a view that I think is widespread. And, you know, actually, what the hell? We're here. We're just going to... I had somebody text me who had run for position. You guys might know her, Harmeet Dillon. You know Harmeet Dillon?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Harmeet's super cool, so I hope she's fine with me saying this because I think it's important that the public know. We can't...
I think this is like... This will even cause like reactionary American Indians, and I don't mean like Native Americans, like Indians that live in America, some of which are very reactionary, as we've talked about before, like the BJP supporters in America. Even they will look at Vivek in this circumstance and lose their shit. Okay, so he's losing that aspect as well. Because at the end of the day, okay, Modi supporting Indians living in America still very much get disrespected by white supremacists and racists, okay? So they recognize it. They know exactly what that was. So for him to turn around and run cover for those people, unacceptable.
Just have these conversations behind closed doors, not having them in the open. So that when she ran for her position of being the chairwoman of the RNC, she had many people tell her the same thing too, which is interesting to me because most of the grassroots was, you know, a lot of the grassroots were with me, a lot of grassroots were with people like Harmeet, but there are people who believe that if you're electing people to positions of leadership, how American you are is a spectrum.
When you were out there campaigning, did anybody face you, confront you, and say, I would totally support you, but you're too brown for me? Did anyone say
So
that?
I had many of those for religion. So I didn't have anybody come up and say that because...
Another thing I've called! Which is like the easiest lock, dude. Yeah, they're going to be like, yeah, you don't believe in Christianity.
Well, there were people on social media who would make an argument. It wasn't on ethnicity. And this is part of Ann's point, too. It's the point that your parents were immigrants to this country. And so you are truly not at the highest level of being American to be president of the United States.
Right.
So we had a number of people that would say that occasionally. A much more common one, though, for people